you this morning, and I'm very familiar with the excitement and anticipation that all of you must be feeling at this moment. So I want to formally welcome you to the 2024 Otis Moss Jr. and Otis Moss III Oratorical Competition. I'm certain that you will enjoy today's contest, hearing words of wisdom from well-crafted and well-delivered speeches from our very own students. Seated before you are the contestants, Dr. Leah Krike and Dr. Allison Ligon. Dr. Krike chairs this annual competition. The contest will proceed according to the program, which you can find on the QR code. Students, if you must leave before the conclusion of our program, please respect the orators and leave quietly. Now, before we begin, I would invite you to join me for a moment of prayer. Gracious and most loving Spirit, as we gather in this hallowed chapel, named in honor of that drum major for justice called Martin Luther King Jr., we thank you for your sublime, saving, and soothing presence that is in our midst. It is in you that we live, move, and have our very being. We are grateful for the tradition of oratory at Morehouse College. We are grateful for the Moss family and the students who will stand today to speak peace in the midst of misleading mouthpieces, dangerous demagogues, and brutish leaders that arrest the attention of every discerning ear. You, O Lord, are our peace, our protector, and our promise keeper. It is in your many names that we pray. Amen. At this time, Mr. Coleman Gibson, Morehouse College class of 2024, and the 2023 Statesman Orator winner will come forth to the podium to deliver our occasion. Mr. Gibson.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. So the annual Otis Moss Jr. and Otis Moss III Oratorical Contest has become a time-honored tradition at Morehouse College that celebrates the iconic oratory of Dr. Otis Moss Jr. and Dr. Otis Moss III. We appreciate the family for their support of the student oratory, and today we will experience the riveting oratory of Morehouse College students in their delivery of speeches that address the theme, Speak Peace. Peace is a desirable concept that is both abstract and concrete, both personal, communal, and global. Peace can be contemplated, deliberated, and legislated. And so I say to my brothers here on stage, speak your peace.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. For many years, Dr. Allison Ligon, Associate Professor of English and Interim Chair of the Department of English, has served as the co-chair of the Otis Moss III and Otis Moss Jr. Oratorical Contest. At this time, please receive Dr. Ligon.
Good morning, Morehouse. I would like to recognize the judges for this year's competition. I would like to ask if they stand and remain standing. Dr. Denise Callejas, Assistant Professor of Spanish and Portuguese. Dr. Justin S. McClinton, Visiting Assistant Professor of Leadership Studies. Dr. Nathaniel Normant Jr., Professor of English and Director of the Black Ink Project and the Morehouse College Writing Center. And our timekeeper, Mr. Omar Colbreth Jr., class of 26, Africana Studies major, and a member of the Howard W. Thurman Honors Program. The timekeeper and judges will deliberate immediately following the competition, and the results will be revealed to the members of our Morehouse community soon thereafter. I yield the floor to the competitors. Let the competition begin.
Good morning. My name is Calvin Bell III, a senior, political science and philosophy double major from Pennsauken, New Jersey. And today I come with a simple title for this oration, A Call for Seeking and Speaking Peace. Dear brothers, close your eyes and consider our world, rife with discord, caught in ego, lost in despair. As we embark on this journey of peace, let us consider some poignant moments in recent history. The insurrection on our nation's capital, the genocide in Gaza, the killings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and systematic disparities here in the West End. These events serve as echoes of urgency to promote dialogue, understanding, and empathy to pave a way for a peaceful coexistence. Peace takes on unique meanings across communities and cultures. In Yoruba culture, peace is intricately woven into the fabric of their worldview, encompassing harmony between individuals and the natural and spiritual realms. Indigenous communities often view peace as a balance between human societies and the environment, recognizing the interconnectedness of all living beings. Meanwhile, we have historically sought peace as a form of seeking justice and liberation, a peace transcending the strands of conflict. As we delve into these perspectives, it becomes clear that peace is not stagnant. Despite these diverse interpretations, the fundamental yearning for peace remains a universal human aspiration. In our contemporary world, marked by political turmoil and social unrest, the need to find common ground remains and becomes more crucial now than ever. By engaging in open dialogue and acknowledging diverse perspectives on peace, we can heal the wounds of mistrust and animosity that threaten the fabric of our communal existence. Legislating peace, as challenging as it may seem, is not an impossible task. It requires leaders who recognize the importance of inclusivity and strive to create policies that promote justice and equality for all. Whether it's calling for a ceasefire in the Middle East or putting Cop City on the witness stand, the lessons learned from cultural perspectives on peace remain a guiding principle for policies reflecting the collective aspirations of a society. May we also contemplate peace on a personal level. Dear brothers, as we consider Mother Morehouse, may we seek peace between students and the administration. May we seek peace when students are trying to fend for a Morehouse degree without financial assistance or a place to sleep. Let us do more than seek peace. Let us speak peace. Let us speak peace when queer brothers are attacked by homophobic bigotry. Let us speak peace when we must also consider the fact that our brothers should have another brother's back. Let us speak peace, not just in words, but in deeds. Let our dark history be a stark reminder that pursuing peace is an ongoing journey, requiring our collective efforts to bridge divides and foster unity. Whether in the tradition of Yoruba culture, Ubuntu, I am because we are, or indigenous American philosophies, the essence of peace lies in the recognition of our shared humanity. Through a collective endeavor to speak peace, we can shape a future where the echoes of unity drown out the discord that threatens to tear us apart, and harmony prevails. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Gregory C Brown, senior psychology major from Jacksonville, Florida. And there arose a great storm of wind and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. And they awake him and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? This revelation is a peace as bright as darkness, a peace as bright as darkness. Peace is a great calm. It's analogous to the refreshing wind on a hot day, the pleasant scent that transports you back to the past, to a more pleasant time. That peace in someone you can be honest with, and one who understands you as a partner. This peace can be what prevents you from decimating everything in your path. When you are at peace, you may have the capacity to exemplify confidence, free of anxiety, reaching your goals. The notification and tranquility of your internal processes is known as homeostasis, which is a type of peace. A ceasefire promotes discussion, considerations, and decisions of peace. But oh, I am convinced that we are not ready for peace. Peace, the mere mention of such approach makes men more violent than violence itself. Peace is what I asked my country to do, but my country said peace is too expensive. Peace is what I asked my people of, and my people said retaliation feels better. Peace is what I asked the world to do, and the world said, you destroy me enough, maintain me, and maybe peace may prevail. I am convinced that we are not ready for peace because we kill our peacemakers, our peace informers, our peace thinkers. We kill the possibility that we may thrive in fellowship with each other in our own skin. Ideas, kill it with policy, war and justice, violence, and the affirmation of hate mongers. We are adopting a peace that is obnoxious. Dr. King informed us in 1956 of peace being utilized at the price of the capitulating to the forces of evil, that men of goodwill hink and stinks in the nostrils of the God Almighty. Why accept peace when it is only affirming the lingering injustices, preserving the discrimination, and which controls the mighty forces against us, silencing the wisdom and proclaiming ignorance in the name of hate? This same peace, I would argue, is illustrated when Jesus stilled the raging storm and his disciples and himself crossed the Sea of Galilee by boat. If you are familiar with the 4th chapter of Mark, it is introduced with Jesus teaching and explaining through parabolic language these parables described as soiled, the soil of soils, parable of the seed, and parable of the mustard seed. He urges listeners on a surface level to be attentive to the world and affected by it, understand it, for there are many parables in which are more complex than the one he presents. Through these lessons which Jesus' disciples listen to, they soon will be tested and tried in real time of their hearing and understanding of true faith. What does peace have to do with Jesus stilling the water that would soon overcome the ship that they were traveling on? Most will contend that demonstrates to us that even in the midst of seemingly overwhelming tempests and attacks in life, Jesus will always be there to comfort us, that trusting in him, even when he is silent, he will always be there. However, I do not think we understand what actually happened. Peace as bright as darkness. Darkness, by definition, is the absence of light. Darkness cannot be light. It cannot be bright visually. However, the disciples discovered themselves in a dark spot in the guise of a storm. This darkness or storm showed unbelief, lack of trust, and poor comprehension of what they had previously been taught. It disclosed as much as a brilliant light in a dark room. It was only made clear by the stillness of the sea. Jesus' confirmation of that meager faith was that light. Peace beyond the darkness, peace as bright as darkness. Why is it that at last in peace we consider the darkness that existed before, the peace that could have been occurred sooner, the peace that is spoken but not taken upon action due to ignorance? I believe the reason for this comes from our human nature. As long as we survive the moment we are not harmed, we are secretly content to live in darkness because it did not happen to me. However, it needed a strong storm for us to care about, crave for, or even cry about peace. Peace as bright as darkness. How can one define peace? Well, peace begins with internal serenity. Once you have addressed your internal issue or gained control over it, you may create exterior peace. Exterior peace. Peace may be characterized as being in harmonious relationships, healthy giving to others, encouraging understanding, collaboration, and an interpersonal giving to those you meet, international cooperation, freedom, security. But peace can be as bright as darkness. Like a lighthouse guided on a boat in a dark night sea, like a child wandering into a dark room in hopes that nothing awaits them finding the light, or like a person in a dark headspace suffering from depression or any other mental ailment who is constantly fixing themselves to be in a better frame of mind, because it takes courage to aspire anything to happen. Peace may conceal as much as darkness, for it can shine just as bright. Peace becomes a light protruding from a dark into the darkest room, a promise to see. Let your light shine as brightly as darkness, for peace, oh peace, will triumph over all darkness and reveal what has to be done. Or you will let darkness shine as light on what should have occurred. May peace be upon you.
Good morning. My name is Jakearius C Conley. I am a junior religion and psychology double major from Jackson, Tennessee. Walking on a tightrope, we attempt to balance and evade the shark-infested waters of polarized geopolitics and laws created by white right-wing evangelical Trump supporters who pompously purport to engage in the sacred work of prophetic social justice consciousness in exchange for devious and diabolical ethics. Arriving at what we know at peace is complex. Historically, African descendants and persons of color have been subjugated to racial determination. Sacred black literature and books written by queer folk are banned and deemed unfit for intellectual consumption. To add insult to injury, women's rights and DEI are victims of this play. The white male gaze arrests the worldview, soapboxing support from unconscious sheep awaiting militaristic orders to conquer and destroy. In navigating the challenging journey toward a semblance of peace, it becomes evident that our reality is a stark departure from the proclamation of the divine architect found in Genesis chapter 1, verse 31, wherein we find these words recorded: "Everything I created was inherently good." Arriving at peace requires us to understand, engage in, and widely implement the social justice of God. Mishpat, a Hebrew term meaning social justice, it underscores the profound importance of aligning our actions with the principles of fairness and equity. Mishpat calls us to dismantle systemic injustices, champion over the marginalized, and foster a world where fairness and equity reign. Thus, as we cross the road toward peace, the imperative lies not only in individual tenacity and courage, but also in the collective commitment to embodying a world harmonious where you can live. Embracing the principles of social justice becomes an integral part of realizing the true goodness that the divine architect envisioned. All creation are meaningful. Allow me to cite the hermeneutic found in Luke, the 10th chapter, wherein we find these words recorded. There is a narrative that depicts a Samaritan who is seen as an outcast and socially scorned. This Samaritan demonstrates deep empathy and attentiveness towards a wounded individual abandoned on the side of the road by others who, despite their religious status and affiliation, opt not to aid. The Samaritan disrupts the established cultural biases by addressing the immediate needs of the injured man and ensuring his continuous care, thus demonstrating a peace contrasting milieu. This biblical narrative serves as a profound illustration of mishpat in action. It calls for a recalibration of societal views and priorities. It emphasizes that true justice involves breaking down barriers, championing over the marginalized, and fostering a community where compassion and equality reign. Therefore, brothers, I urge you now in this moment to adopt the mindset of a scholar. No. In fact, I encourage you now to become social justice scholars who immerse themselves in history, applying biblical principles to the current context. In this pursuit, my brothers, I encourage you to walk with spirituality until you read and think like Howard Thurman. I encourage you, brothers, to read widely until you posit progressive philosophical paradigms. In this pursuit, brothers, I encourage you to rise in this moment and become social justice scholars. Receive your mantle. Onward we march.
Good morning. My name is Nathaniel Fields. I'm a junior C-Temps major, sociology minor from White Plains, New York. Happy Black History Month, y'all. When have you seen peace? Has she visited you after you closed your door after a long day? Sat with you after you've cried your last tear? Have you prayed for her during stormy weather? Inhaled her healing aroma during a deep breath? Do you know peace? I'd say I do. I'd even say we met. Peace and I have met before, and walking in front of her was her big brother Justice and their first cousin Compassion. They are her sword and shield, sworn to protect her, and no man has ever gotten close without getting vetted first. Justice basically raised her. He fights on the side of the oppressed, is determined to right the wrong, and doesn't just turn his phone off when the news is too grim. So you can shut your phone off when the realities of our world begin to creep in. Meanwhile, those working to death to make those same phones can't just tune in to suffering when they feel like it. It's a trait he passed on to his sister. Peace doesn't flirt with apathy. She wouldn't sit by while children dig for their parents under mountains of rubble, praying for even an appendage to grieve for. She won't sit idly by while fascism attempts to take hold of our world. You have no right to not care about another's peace just because she lays with you and because you don't share the same soil. If you want to be kin with peace, your area code will never be on the sidelines. Peace requires radical empathy. She learned it from her cousin, compassion. The word was once tolerance, then acceptance, then woke. When peace requires radical celebration of one another, a joyful noise that brings honor to our differences and re-emphasizes our humanity. Compassion doesn't hesitate to rush in and render aid. He will not sit back, he rushes in instead of trying to render aid from miles away. Compassion is the cornerstone of community, and learning to be in community with one another is paramount for peace. Now, you may have wondered, why do I keep referring to peace as she? How do I know? Well, I met her. And she looked like my sister. She looked like so many of our sisters. Underappreciated, overworked, and often hurt by those closest to them. Despite all this, she has never stopped. Never stopped championing, fighting, praying, healing, even standing beside men who would secure only their right to vote and not all of ours. Most of all, her gaze is critical and resistant, like many black women before her. It is an unflinching gaze that challenges all those who would dare to force injustice onto another, and like a crosshairs for her brother's enemies. Peace has had her name thrown to the streets and used as an excuse for all kinds of injustice, mistaking her for vengeance or hate. When peace isn't reactionary or angry, it doesn't strike back out of personal vendettas. She doesn't punch down or pick on the little man. She was in those waters when God troubled them, in the midst after justice swung his sword, with my mother after I get home after a late night. She came to the Buddhist, for they have gotten the closest to her and have seen her the clearest. Buddhism defines peace as an awakening to an ultimate inseparability between our own well-being and the happiness and that of others. We are intrinsically linked to one another, spirits tied in our bond of humanity, and it is our job to be stewards of peace. And if you claim to be a man, you should learn what it takes to please a woman. Thank you.
Good morning, my brothers. My name is Harlem Daniel Henderson, a junior art history major, double minoring in both art and curatorial studies, hailing from the city of Chicago, Illinois. Here is my lament on peace. My greatest fear is not of the dangers that might untether my unwavering spirit from the fragility of my earthly human vessel. Neither are the wicked, who prong the tongues of men, who speak truth unto a scornful and misguided world. Nor are the misguided, who maim innocence in the name of a world that has brandished them with several unfading scars, both physical and otherwise. My greatest fear is rather that the light of truth dims dauntingly close to a point of vanishing, and that our ancestors rest knowing their contributions to a mighty race was but in vain, and that they will truly never know peace. A greater question, suppose, would be, what is peace even for the African American? Peace may be defined as separating oneself from the ever-persisting disparities provided by the apprehensive purgatory we perceive as reality. Is this truly peace? What good is separation from war when an even greater battle rages within the hearts of the African American we've yet to separate? That is the war of two identities, or rather, the intrinsic oxymoronic nature of being both African and American simultaneously in pursuit of said peace. How can one claim peace if they are a martyr both to themselves and the oppressor? What of the black souls whom we dwelt amongst, who woefully and wearily want some more wishful awakening than that of their everyday lives, who are so far removed from the black bodies slew? What of the wasted talent of our young, none the wiser to wilt under a star, a dying sun, whose work and communal warmth for black children are cold and undone? And the black babies, whose welcoming contributions are claimed all too soon by guns? Is peace truly permissible for the individual fortunate enough to receive its endless benefits and timely enough to shower in its unsettling comfort, who are so far removed from the black bodies slew, their blood-blooming fruits quite strange, poisoning roots of leaves in the southern breeze, who are distant enough to grow deaf of the ancestors' unfading cacophonies, whose murmurs only perk the faintest of ears? I fear such peace might evoke more suffering than the African American can ever conceive. To rest on matters unsettled is not peace at all, nor is it contentment or apathy, but something far more sinister, a haunting. The vestiges of generations old, tucked away beneath the hollow grounds of Mother Morehouse's soils, may only rest assured once we cease fulfilling our oppressors' wishes. Although the African American alone might not achieve peace, we all may achieve a joined peace once we collectively commit to ending injustice wherever it may reside. Our split consciousness was not meant to exist within the confines of a white world, but rather within the unconditional embrace of each other. Remember, once you walk across that stage and obtain that degree, your contributions to a mighty race do not cease, but rather they begin. Peace is a selfless force that binds the farthest borders of our blackness wherever our blood resides. Peace may still be attained after our voyage across the ocean tides. Peace was not meant for the one, but rather meant for man and the many. Peace mustn't be scarce in a world that ought to have plenty. My brothers and sisters, now is the time to fight so that we may have peace in the afterlife. And if you do not fight for the ancestors, think of your children and how your voices may guide them once we are mere silhouettes suspended in the skies, and let them ruminate on the actions of a great people who assured them their lives were better, and let them say to themselves, my fathers, my mothers, my ancestors, I hope you have finally found peace. Thank you.
Greetings, my fellow heirs to the morning stars. It is with a bodacious and divine salutation that I stand before you and I greet you. I am Calzavian Ray, a junior religion and political science double major from Cordell, Georgia by way of Rochelle. It is not a light nor casual burden that I stand before you. Indeed, there is a heavy word. Yes, indeed, there is a divine and cosmic frequency echoing through the glorious rhetoric and the angelic melody of grammatical propensities. It is derived from the Buddhist Om. It is derived from the rhythms of the drums of the Ashanti and the Igbo. It is a still, small voice calmly begging for peace. Tell them they need peace. However, I am certain that there is confusion as to why would the voice send me to speak about peace. Brethren, the truth is, I don't know and that we don't know. However, the voice contends and utters, that's exactly the point. We don't know peace, at least not anymore. The Zulu and the Akan definitions of peace deals primarily with a sense of non-conflict, a sense of calmness. The voice says not quite so. The tragedian Aeschylus contends that it's to tame the savageness of man and make gentle the life of this world. The voice says better, but not quite so. The United States Congress and the executive branch contends that peace can be achieved by bombing our way there, that it can be achieved by spending billions of dollars to aid in the killing of the sons of the living God, meanwhile neglecting the millions of Americans starving right here in America, that it can be achieved by declaring insurrectionists as executioners and exemplars of the First Amendment. The voice declares no. There are those who will utter that the peace for the descendants of kidnapped and African slaves can be achieved by resigning ourselves to a second-class citizenship, that maybe we ought to allow for those to think that our votes can be bought by harmonious pledges and a guarantee that he or she is the only person that can defeat a decrepit old man from the land of Orange, that maybe we can obtain peace once we realize that the Morehouses, Spelmans, and the Howards of the world are outdated and have served their purposes. The voice declares, hell no. Finally, if I may, brothers, the voice like a thundering roar of jubilation declares that if Descartes got anything right, it's cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. That I am is peace. That I am is both paradoxically eternal and violent. This peace allows virgins to give birth. This peace walked upon the bosom of the briny deep. This peace performed miracles in Galilee. It gave sight to the blind. It stopped on deaf ears. Its grandmama's bridge over troubled waters. It caused death to loosen its grip. It fed those who were hungry, and it clothed those who were naked. Now, sons of Morehouse and of the Most High and living God, I inquire of you, now that you know peace and that you need this peace, I inquire of you, where is your Golgotha? What demons will you cast out? Who will you set free? And who, most of all, who will be grateful for your old rugged cross? Now up from here we must go. We must go into every hamlet and to every hood, every ghetto, declaring that there is a more excellent way and that there is still hope and that there is a peace which surpasses all understanding. And why is this important? It's important because my witness is in heaven and my record is on high. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Marell Scott, a junior educational studies major from Clarksdale, Mississippi. Unity, stability, nonviolence, serenity, cultural understanding. These aren't just words. They're the heartbeat of a world longing for peace. Howard Thurman's words echo in our hearts. True peace is found within oneself and is connected to a deep sense of spiritual awareness. Imagine a world where that peace, that spiritual awareness, is not just a dream, but a shared reality amongst us all. Thurman believed in the profound connections of individuals. He believed that this connection can transcend differences and fosters a society rooted in unity, justice, and compassion. Today, as I stand before you, I can't help but share my own journey towards peace, a journey etched with the transformative power of love and understanding. More than just an institution of learning, Morehouse became the refuge where my inner conflicts were addressed and the flames of discord were extinguished. As an emancipated student, I found a community that embraced me, a brotherhood that understood my struggles, and a sanctuary where peace was not just a concept, but a living, breathing reality. I realized that to inspire others, my light had to shine, but I must first have to heal that conflict within me. But this is not just my story. It's an invitation for you to join in shaping a world where peace isn't just a novelty, but the norm. Let's envision a peace that transcends borders and touches every heart, a peace that empowers us to grow, hope, and build a better life for our future. It's not just peace for a specific group. It's peace for all humanity, not just for this moment, but a peace that lasts a lifetime. So as we gather here, let us unite in this pursuit. Let us rejoice in a peace that binds us together, creating a legacy that speaks towards the hearts of generations to come. Together, we can turn the pages of our collective story and contribute to a narrative of peace that goes far beyond our immediate surroundings, a narrative that inspires and uplifts the human spirit. When we reflect on this concept of peace, it's crucial to empathize with those who struggle with the absence of it, such as in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine. Consider the profound devastation of those suffering in the crossfires, some of them to their deaths, facing unimaginable hardship and heartache. Rest on your feet. Imagine if a similar situation unfolded in the United States, where the familiar sounds of daily life are replaced by the echoes and screams of destruction. And the horrifying reality persists for months on end. And you couldn't hear this sound. May peace be with us all. Ashe.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Lynden Martin Young, and the title, a sophomore philosophy major from Columbus, Ohio. And the title of my oration is Rethinking Peace. Peace. I have searched my deepest inner thoughts far and wide and have returned from the recesses of my meditations a paraclete of peace. I find that peace is often bandied about and used promiscuously. The proliferation of and resounding retort, "No justice, no peace," falls victim to a vacuity and emptiness in need of substantive insight for implementation. I would like you all to follow me and imagine together what peace could mean, what it could be. I, like many of you, have taken an introduction to religion course, where I was taught extensively about Buddhism, where they endeavor to live lives unburdened by materialism and self-absorption. To some Buddhists, peace is defined as a state of tranquility brought about by the denial of an individualized self and the acceptance of the grand unity of all being. Don't get me wrong, I find that this has its merits, but if we take a second to think pragmatically, particularly as black folk, given our context in this country, this definition is indeed insufficient. All we have done since our ancestors were brought over here in chains and forged as chattel under white supremacy is deny ourselves for the benefit of others. We have been responsible for feeding, cleaning, clothing, cooking, birthing, and above all else, loving others. We simply can no longer allow any further denial of ourselves. So, for the sake of its contextual inadequacy, I think I'll move past our Buddhist brothers and sisters and look at peace within the contemporary Western world. I find that peace in Western civilization is defined as a state of harmony that maintains the order put in place by those in power. Citizens of the modern world hold peace in such a high regard, so much so that anyone who acts against the perceived interest of peace is seen as brutal and uncivilized. This is the case except for when those in power are putting everybody else through hell. This is that God bless America and nobody else mentality. In reality, they don't want peace. What they actually call for is silence so that they can avoid contrition for their complicity in cruelty. Politicians want us to reform a system that was rigged from the start. For them, we wear the mask that grins and lies, as Paul Laurence Dunbar would say. They wish us to maintain their order built on a stolen land by a stolen people by asking us to react to their cruelty with kindness. All of this while we cannot share in this same tranquility, nor can we afford to be quiet or complacent in the face of cruelty. Talk about irony. There's a grand contradiction at hand in this call for peace. It lies in the fact that we still suffer from the evils that our brother Martin Luther King Jr. called out with great force. The evils of racism, militarism, materialism, and poverty still permeate our society. Racism continues to affect the lives of black people throughout the world. No matter how powerful you seem, racism is never ceasing. Wars around the world are funded by dollars the American government can never seem to find for health care or homelessness. The war machine keeps on increasing. Materialism continues to promote products over people as poverty margins continue to expand. Capitalism keeps on reaching. I wish I was talking to somebody. Because of evils enacted by people in power, some have died never knowing peace. So now some of you may be asking, well, Lynden, is peace at all possible? And my answer is yes, positively, yes, peace is possible if we rethink peace as my title suggests. For my final definition, I look to the renowned Morehouse alumnus Howard Thurman class of 1923. In his poem, Peace of God, he remarked, there is a peace that comes when what has lurked so long in the shadow of my mind stands out in the light. I face it, call it by its name for better or worse. There is a peace that comes when sorrow is not relieved, when pain is not required, when tragedy remains tragedy, stark and literal, when failure continues through all the days to be failure. End quote. In this excerpt, Thurman offers us a reevaluation of peace. Peace is not always found in tranquility, but instead it can be found in chaos, in fatigue, and in pain. Even when you are faced with your greatest fears, peace can be present. People like to think of peace as something that makes the powerful comfortable and that the marginalized should aspire to. Well, brothers, I'm here to tell you today that contrary to popular belief, you will never find peace in a dollar. You will never find peace in power mongering. You will never find peace in profiteering. Peace is something that no man can give and no man can take away. We must understand that peace is not only an external state, but also an internal understanding that better is possible. Peace is a hope that when you go to sleep and wake up in the morning, the sky could be bluer. The air could be clearer and more refreshing. Maybe you don't have to work as hard tomorrow because of the work that you've put in today. Once you have this internal peace, it can lead to external peace amongst people, communities, and nations. This external peace is a mutual commitment to building a world based upon the internal hope. So, brothers, I want you all right now to understand that you may not have everything you need today. But I promise you that there is an infinite possibility waiting for you on the other side of tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Won't you join me in celebrating each orator this morning for their tremendous contribution? Yes. We are blessed with tremendous scholars here at Morehouse College. The winners will be announced at next week's Founders Day Crown Forum, and we hope to see each of you during that event. Would you all please rise for the singing of the college hymn, Dear Old Morehouse?